Hey, Slider Crusaders, political correctness kills, and government incompetence kills as well. I want to start with political correctness. It's one thing to focus on silly stories about political correctness from our college campuses, where 22-year-old immature snowflakes complain about white people wearing sombreros on Cinco de Mayo or something stupid like that. That obsession with all things PC is a disease, and when the disease spreads to important things, it kills. The classic example is Rotherham, England. From 1997 to 2013, 1,400 underage girls were involved in a child sex ring. The police knew about it. Politicians knew about it. People in town knew about it. But no one did anything because the disgusting men who were leading it were from Pakistan. And no one wanted to be seen as Islamophobic. Political correctness kills. By the way, this story broke in 2014. Here we are 2 years later. That sex ring, it's as strong as ever. Daily Express did a report, said it's now on an industrial scale. Political correctness kills. Government incompetence also kills. Now, we could talk about silly stories where government's behind the times and wasting money. Example of that, outside of Pittsburgh, there's an old limestone mine. You go in 230 feet underground, opens up to a giant warehouse lined with 28,000 filing cabinets. 600 federal employees work here. This is how federal employees' retirement records are kept, entirely on paper. When the guy in charge of this in 1981 took control, he said, I got to get this all on computer or else Reagan's going to kill me. 35 years later, still all done on paper. That is insanity. And that is a story of wastefulness and inefficiency. And you can brush that off as not important, but it's a disease. And government incompetence, when that disease spread, also kills. Just released internal report from Homeland Security. There are at least 858 immigrants from terrorist countries, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, 858 who became U.S. citizens while they had a pending deportation order, meaning they should have been deported back to Syria, but instead became a U.S. citizen. Why? Because the feds don't have fingerprints digitized. They have all the fingerprints on paper, but they can't be searched in computers. What are you talking about? I feel like I've seen a million movies where they scan a fingerprint and then, and then the picture pops up of the person who the fingerprint. Apparently, that's not how it works. So Homeland Security can't check to see if someone who's applying to be a citizen is in fact someone who should be deported back to Syria instead. 858 people. 3 of those now have security clearance at airports, and 1 became a police officer. Do you remember last year when the media freaked out when Trump said he wants a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States? Do you remember that? Our little Mike Slater Show piece of advice. Whenever someone is criticizing something and they don't finish the sentence that they're criticizing, you know they're up to no good, because the rest of the sentence says, until our country's representatives can figure out what's going on. I think uploading fingerprints onto a searchable database so we don't approve people we need to deport to become a citizen, I think that's an example of until we figure out what's going on, because right now we clearly don't. Government incompetence kills. My only hope is the opposite of government incompetence, is the excellence of the American people. You know the terrorist who went on that stabbing spree in Minnesota this weekend? Little known detail that the media surely will not share. That terrorist was killed by an off-duty police officer who had his gun on him. He's also a firearms instructor. Thank God he was there in a matter of seconds. Otherwise, that stabbing spree could have been a lot worse. It's that excellence and willingness and love of the American people that will triumph over government incompetence. But that doesn't mean they have to make it so hard for us.